David, the legendary shepherd turned king, was a songwriter at heart. Out of the 150 Psalms in the Bible, David wrote at least 75. Each one like a playlist track born from his real-life highs and lows. Whether he was celebrating a victory, battling despair, or seeking forgiveness, David poured his heart into these songs and prayers. Even though these songs were written over 3,000 years ago, the stories they tell are still relevant to your life today.
All right, hey y'all, am I on? Maybe, just a minute. Yeah, you hear me? There I am. All right, what is up, guys? How we doing? Good. Hey, I wanted to welcome our Tell City and our Lagodi crew who are tuning in with us tonight. Let's give it up for Tell City and Lagodi. Lagodi, I loved hanging out with y'all just a few weeks back. It was awesome. You guys worship so big. It is so fun to be a part of, so keep going. Keep making that experience such a great place. And Tell City, I get to come see you guys in a few weeks, and I'm super excited. Keep inviting your friends. Keep filling that place up. Keep going, and keep giving Abby a hard time for me. I would appreciate that, all right? So as we continue in our series, and as we're about halfway through our semester, we're going to keep studying the character of David. And David's story is really interesting. The big part of the beginning of his life, he is spent as just a shepherd boy. Jasper, tune in. All right? He is just a shepherd boy hanging out, doing his thing. Then out of nowhere, Samuel, the prophet, comes in and anoints him to be the future king. And you think that would dramatically change his life in that moment. But it doesn't. It actually takes a long time after that. He spends several years, probably 10 to 20 years before he actually becomes king. He goes on to defeat Goliath, the giant, saving his people, saving King Saul from slavery. Then he keeps doing well. He keeps defeating people in battle. He keeps doing these amazing things, which makes the current king, King Saul, super angry and super jealous, which leads David into the wilderness running from Saul. And that's the story that we're going to be in today, is David in the wilderness, and it's one of my favorite David stories. So whether you're here or at one of our campuses, I want you to turn to 1 Samuel chapter 24. If you got a physical Bible, 1 Samuel 24. If you don't, if you just have a phone, I want to encourage you instead to just check out the screens. But 1 Samuel 24, as you turn there, Saul is bringing 3,000 men to the wilderness to come and find David. This is a massive manhunt right here, okay? So he's coming to find them, and as they're searching for David, Saul, he has to go to the bathroom. And it happens to everybody, even to kings, and so Saul goes and finds a cave to use the bathroom in, and that's where we're picking up today. Probably not what you expected in our story, but starting in verse 3 of chapter 24. At the place where the road passes some sheepfolds, Saul went into a cave to relieve himself. But as it happened, David and his men were hiding farther back in that very cave. I mean, what are the odds, right? Like, Saul picks a random cave. He's got solitaire already up on his phone. He's ready to just kind of take a few minutes by himself, use the bathroom, just have some privacy. And who would be in the cave but David and all his men? All right, and just side note, this is why I don't camp. My husband, LG, loves to camp. He's always like, we should go camping. I think you would love it. And I'm always like, hard pass. I don't want to go because you never know what is lurking outside, right? Like, you're just trying to roast a s'more, or you're trying to sleep, or just use the bathroom, and you don't know what or who is waiting out there. So just side note, that's why I don't camp, okay? But this is where the story gets really good for David and Saul. Here's what it says in verse 4. Now's your opportunity, David's men whispered to him. Today the Lord is telling you, I will certainly put your enemy into your power to do with as you wish. So David crept forward and he cut off a piece of the hem of Saul's robe. But then David's conscience began bothering him because he had cut Saul's robe, and he said to his men, the Lord forbid that I should do this to my Lord the king. I shouldn't attack the Lord's anointed one, for the Lord himself has chosen him. And so David restrained his men and did not let them kill Saul. All right, so David's men are sitting next to him, and they're like, dude, this is our chance. This is perfect. You can kill Saul right now. You don't have to wander in the wilderness anymore, running from him. You can add this to your resume of all the amazing things you've done, and you can be king right now. Saul was just served to you on a silver platter. Let's go. But then David sneaks up behind Saul. He has a knife, and he just cuts off a piece of his robe. And that alone, David's like, this isn't right. This isn't right. God has anointed Saul to be king, and it's not up to me to change that. And so he holds back all his guys from killing Saul. And here's why this is one of my favorite David moments. Imagine the confidence that David had in God. The confidence that he had in the promise that he was going to become king. The confidence he had that it wasn't about what he could do, that he didn't have to be in control, but the confidence in God's plan. And I don't know about you, but I need more of that confidence because I love to be in control. And I hate letting go of the reins and letting someone else take over. For instance, I have a really weird fear of being forgotten at a restaurant. If you ever go out to eat with me, you've probably experienced this. Because if I'm the last one to get my food, my anxiety just starts building. I'm like, yep, they forgot about me. I'm not going to get my food. I don't know what I'm going to do. And again, it's a pretty weird fear because you just tell them that they forgot your food and they're going to bring it, right? This isn't a big deal. But in my head, it's always a really big deal. And so one time I was at the Cheesecake Factory, and I was much younger. I was with my friends and my family, and we had eaten, and we had this great meal, and we were taking cheesecake to go. So we put our order in, and we are waiting for a while. And my anxiety is just I'm like, it's happening, they're gonna forget my cheesecake. And so I lean over to my best friend, I'm like, they forgot about us, for sure. And she's like, well, first of all, Mac, not a big deal. We'll just let them know. But also, I don't think they forgot about us. I think we're just other people were probably here first. And what my best friend didn't realize is that I know exactly where we are in line, right? I have been watching every person walk up to that register ordering after us, and they are being served before me. So I know that I'm getting skipped over. I know I'm being forgotten. And so I'm inching ever closer to the cheesecake window and trying to get the staff member, you see me? Don't forget about me. I'm still here, right? And every name that's called, my anxiety is going up, a little higher, and guess what? They forgot about us. They did. I was right. I was told you, and all my whole family was of course, it happened. Now it's gonna forever haunt her, and it does, right? But in a real sense, right? Not a big deal. We got our cheesecake. We went home. It was a happy day. But in real situations in my life that actually matter, not like cheesecake, all right, I struggle with this. I struggle with this control thing. I struggle to trust that God or other people are going to come through if I don't do it myself. And maybe you're like me. Maybe your fears are a little bit different, though. Maybe you worry about your future. You worry that you will struggle financially like your family has your whole life. And so you have a plan for your life. You have a 5-year plan, and you know where you're going to go to college. You already probably have the applications pulled up. And you know what GPA you need to have in order to do that. And you know the SAT score you have to get in order to do that. And your thoughts and your actions are consumed with making sure that you are in control of your future. Maybe you're not as worried about your future, but you're worried about your friendships. They're outside of your control, and if you're honest, they're a little overwhelming right now. And so you find your people, your friend group, but you're so scared to lose them. And so you become a little bit clingy, if you're honest, and you're texting all the time, and you begin to isolate other people from the friendship because, well, if they become too close of friends, then we might not be friends anymore. And so you try to control all your friendships too. Maybe you're more afraid of just being alone. So you change your look, you change your whole personality in order to get the guy or the girl. And then you get them, and they're kind of annoying, and they're not as great as you thought they were going to be. But all your friends give you a hard time about how you never have a boyfriend, and so you're trying to take control of this situation, and so you stay with them anyways because you don't want to be alone. Maybe you have a family member or a friend who's sick, and you can't change it. You can't fix it. And so you do all the things you can do to help them and to serve them, and that's really not enough. And so then you just spend all your time anxious, and you don't really enjoy time with them because you're so afraid of losing them or losing someone else. And so you try to take control of that situation. Maybe your fear looks really spiritual. You got baptized, you started following Jesus, but then you kind of felt like, well, maybe that didn't take. Maybe I still need to contribute. Maybe I need to do more. Maybe that's not enough. And so you read all the books and you go to all the events and you have all the right answers in order to earn your faith. What is it for you? What are you trying to control? Maybe it's your family. Maybe it's your siblings' faith. Maybe it's your dad's addiction. Maybe it's your spot on the team or your leadership in the musical or in the band. Maybe it's your friendships, your relationships. Maybe it's the way people view you. Maybe it's your faith. But we spend all our time just cutting away at all these things in our life because we're trying to be in control of something that we were never supposed to be in control of. And with all these things that we seek to control, I want to go back to that Psalm 57 that was read earlier. This is about this moment. David wrote this psalm with this in mind. He said, "Have mercy on me, O God, have mercy. I look to you for protection, and I will hide beneath the shadow of your wings until the danger passes by. I cry out to God Most High, to God who will fulfill his purpose for me." I think that last line is so important. To God who will fulfill. Not Mac who will fulfill my purpose. To God who will fulfill it. See, David was able to show mercy to Saul in this moment because he has already received mercy. God has already shown him mercy, and God would have to show him mercy over and over and over again in his life. And God showed the greatest mercy ever when he sent Jesus as a sub for you and for me. To take our place for our punishment, to take our sin, our mess, all the things that we can't control, and to save us from those. And when Jesus did that, he earned the right not to just be our Savior from our screw-ups, but to be the Lord of everything and everyone around us. And so every time we choose to take control of these things, when we choose not to take control of them, when we choose not to handle them ourselves, when we choose not to step in and make it happen for ourselves, but instead we let go. Instead we let go of that friendship. We let go of the way we look. We let God guide our future. We trust him with the people in our lives. Every time we do that and we let go of all the things that we want control of, every time we do that, we can trust that God is going to come through because he already has. And so he will again. It's after this moment between Saul and David in the tent. I love this moment with David because he basically comes out and he's like, "Yo, Saul, here's your robe. Just so you know, I could have killed you, and I didn't." Power play, right? Like, I can't imagine. And look at Saul's response. It's so good in verse 18. Saul said, "Yes, you have been amazingly kind to me today. For when the Lord put me in a place where you could have killed me, you didn't do it. Who else would have let his enemy get away when he had him in his power? May the Lord reward you well for the kindness you have shown me today. And now I realize that you are surely going to be king, and that the kingdom of Israel will flourish under your rule." Saul declares in this moment what David's future is going to hold. He says, "You're going to be king." And in David's story, God fulfills that promise. David went on to be king, to be one of the greatest kings of all time. But it wasn't up to David to make this happen. It was up to David simply to trust God and to walk step by step with him. And the same is true for us. And so as we start to close up, and band, you can stay where you are for now at all 3 campuses, I just want to challenge you, if you're comfortable doing this with me, I want you to stick your hands out and turn them into like a fist, like you're holding something. And I want everyone to close their eyes so no one has to watch everyone else doing this. You don't have to look at me. Just put your hands out like that, like you're holding something really tight. And I want you to imagine this with me. Listen. I want you to imagine that thing in your life that feels out of control. Imagine it's in your hands. That thing that makes you feel anxious or that consumes your thoughts. That class, that spot on the team, your future, your finances, your parents' relationship, your sibling or friend or family member's faith, whatever it is, the thing that consumes you, that you need control of, that you feel like you have to be in control of, and you say you trust that God cares about it and will work it for good, but the reality is you can't let go of it. The weight's on you. Imagine that in your hands right now. And then if you're willing, keeping your eyes closed, just open your hands up, physically opening your hands up, symbolically letting go of that thing. And maybe you can picture right now that person, that thing, that fear, just going up to God, or maybe falling to the ground, or God scooping it up out of your hands now that you're willing to let it go. And as we do this, I want to pray for all of us, and then we can worship from this place. Band, you can come on up at every campus. Jesus, it's so hard to let go. It's so hard to not be in control. It's so hard to believe that you're going to come through, even if we've seen it before. And that fear in the back of our heads, what if you don't come through this time? What if I didn't pray enough? What if I'm not a good enough Christian? What if you don't care or agree with me? What if your plans are different? And those fears make us want to hold on and do it ourselves. But God, I pray that every one of us in here at every campus, that we could open our hands, that we could let go, trusting that you're in control even when we're not. And as I close this prayer, I just want to read David's words from the psalm over all of us. My heart is confident in you, O God. My heart is confident. No wonder I can sing your praises. Wake up, my heart. Wake up, O lyre and harp. I will wake the dawn with the song. I will thank you, Lord, among all the people. I will sing your praises among the nations. For your unfailing love is as high as the heavens, and your faithfulness reaches to the clouds. Be exalted, O God, above the highest heavens, and may your glory shine over all the earth. Amen. Let's worship.